Hello, everybody, and welcome to another night. This is one of those emergency meetings. We don't have long left. This is what we're going to be covering today. That a lot of the CMHC, they're coming on. The bank governors are coming on, saying we don't have very many months left. Affordability is going to continue to deteriorate. We're having prices getting squeezed down with the extra high interest rates where the banks are raising them or have forecasts that they're raising them. We have a lot to cover today. I got a lot prepared for you. So let's dig right in, you guys, into what we are facing right now. The number one article I have to show you is housing affordability will continue to deteriorate if we don't act soon. Now, this is the chief economist for CMHC. Now, this is in Canada, but this is the exact same for the United States, you guys. He says that I'm actually worried that affordability is going to deteriorate rather than improve. Well, duh, of course it is. With those interest rates going up, it is going to squeeze people really hard. It continues to say, I'm actually worried that affordability is going to deteriorate rather than improve unless we can do something about it. Okay. Now, this isn't just a nobody. He's chief economist with CMHC. He's got to be somebody, right? But what he is saying is completely detached from reality, unfortunately. So a day earlier, he said that CMHC, they actually announced that the price of average price of homes was $729,000 in May, up 3% from last year, even though interest rates are on the fastest rate hike ever, which is absolutely insane. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? In Toronto and Vancouver, prices way over $1 million as the average. Now, he says that Dugan is his name. This feeling about lack of affordability has been festering for some time, prompting it to ring alarm bells last summer when it revealed the country needed to build 3.5 million more homes. I don't know if you even can understand that. 3.5 million more homes. We are a country of 40 million people. To say that we need to build 3.5, even the mighty United States could not even come close to that. And the United States is around 11 times our size. Just imagine that for a second. Just try to imagine that for a second, that the United States itself, what are they going to have to build? 10 million homes? That level is insane. We haven't even built that much since the GFC. So, and we are now enacting policies all over the place that are actually compounding the problem. Canada just passed 40 million people today. 40 million. When I was a child, it was 20 million. And now, just between China and India, the largest ones, we have put in 20 million people. But we're not building any more homes. We're not building any more highways. We're not building any more hospitals. So we're just packing everybody in. Big problems are going to come from this. A lot of social problems are going to be coming from this as well. All right, let's jump in, continue on with this article. 3.5 million. That should just knock you clear off of your shoes. I can't even believe it. Starts are being strained because of lack of interest or demand in building. BS. That is not true at all. There's not lack of interest in buying. Labor shortages. Oh, he's saying it's not because, yes, right. So there is a lot of interest. Labor shortages, yes, but higher interest rates is the number one thing why we are having problems. He wants to talk about zoning issues and not in my backyard, blah, blah, blah. That is nothing compared to the bomb of higher interest rates. That's the biggest one. And they said, well, it is not unsolvable. They feel that affordability is not unsolvable. It just takes many parties moving in tandem. It really requires all of Canada an all hands on deck response. And so I can tell you right now, that is never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Not in Canada, not in the United States, an all hands on deck emergency. We can't even decide if we should send forces in, let's say, for forest fires, or if we can send in people for a hurricane. Very clear. We can't even agree what a man or a woman is. We can't agree on anything. And the political parties on each side are fighting back and forth. But he says it's only possible if it's an all hands on deck and everybody agrees. And unfortunately, we have never seen that happen in the history of our countries. And this is where we're at right now. So all hands on deck situation, I'm sorry. I mean, that's a pipe dream to me. I don't ever think that's going to happen. So what are housing starts like in the United States? Let's just take an example of that. If we want to go back 10 years and take a look, where we peaked out at was 1.8 million homes in the United States. They need 10 million. And so you can see that over time that they are gradually getting better, but it just absolutely fell off of a cliff here in 2007, 8, 9, 10, right? When there was that massive crash. They were building 2 million homes per year. Now they haven't even caught up to that, number one. But what about all of the years from 2007 all the way to today that they haven't caught up with? There is now a shortage of 8 million homes just in that pocket that they did not fill. They had to stay at this level forever. That doesn't work. How does Canada behave? Well, Canada is also not really there now. 2007, 8, 9 didn't affect Canada in the same way, but we are drastically short. Let's just back this up. Look at where we are right now. We're at 200,000 housing starts. 200,000. Way, way low. You just heard what we said over here, that the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation says, how many homes do we need? He wants 3.5 million. Here it is right there again, just to remind you, 3.5 million more homes in Canada. We're only building 200,000 a year. So he wants 20 years of building to happen in a year. It's not possible. But we also have to think about this other ways. How is the country letting in over 1 million? Last year alone, we have no houses, we have no hospitals, we have nothing. So countries are in a lot of doo-doo, man. And the age-old issue of just let it be immigrants. We need immigration, by the way. We're not having kids, so we need immigrants. But we have to rethink the way that we are running this system. It is broken beyond belief. Now, in Canada, we have this famous guy named David Dodge. He actually ran the Bank of Canada. Then he moved over to the Bank of England. He works for the International Monetary Fund, wrote a lot of books on it. And please note what he says. He says that Canada only has 18 months to get rid of inflation. 18 months. Now you'd say, why is it such a shortage? Why is it so short? He says, and we're going to use this exact article and his quotes. You have 18 months to get inflation under control or risk a return to the 70s and 80s. And it's a lack of pricing predictability and social upheaval. This is really, really important for you guys to understand when he's talking about this, is because how does behaviors change? If you know that the price of, let's say, a washing machine would be $1,000 today, but it's going to be $2,000 next week, you're going to run to the store and go buy it immediately. That's what you would do. And that's social behavior. And that social behavior will continue to change. It has to, if we know that pricing is not going to be stable. And he thinks that with a rather modest interest rate of 6%, just remember what that means. That means that mortgages will be at 10%. It will be enough to squeeze demand back in line with supply. This is a completely ass backwards way of running a country. So let me just take this example and be a little bit ridiculous about it. There is only in an economy demand and supply. That's it. All the people that want to talk about it, it's all malarkey. Here in Canada, we're freezing cold in the winter. We do not grow anything. In the wintertime, when you want a bag of apples, those apples have to come from the United States, Mexico, and they have to put them on a truck and drive them all the way up here. And they're really expensive because they have to travel. Here in the summer, when there's growing apples everywhere, now all of a sudden the price comes down. Why is that? Why? Supply and demand. If there's a lot of apples out there, the prices come down. So if the prices go up to $6 for a bag of apples in the middle of winter, and it's cold up here and they have to ship it here, is the answer to get apples cheaper to raise the price to $10? You would say, well, that's insane. That doesn't even make sense. So why would it make sense in housing? It doesn't make any sense. Why are we squeezing everybody instead of focusing on building? Supply is the only way to get prices down. Fortunately, though, through history, the cure for high prices usually is high prices. And so we're probably going to be seeing that in the future with us. Now, he does mention that he wants it back up at 6%. And then he says, if we can't do it in the next year or 18 months, we're losing. And what are we losing? A big piece of social capital. Remember, this is David Dodge, ran the International Bank from Canada and the United States, and Canada and England, I mean, not the United States, a social capital. So what kind of social capital is this guy talking about? And the biggest one is going to be fiat money. Fiat money is the money that you and I use every single day. Fiat money is a government issued currency. This is the bills that we use today, a US dollar, a Canadian dollar, that is not backed by a physical commodity such as gold or silver, but rather than the government. Please go to Investopedia.com just to type in fiat money and see what it is. The value of the fiat money is derived from the relationship between supply and demand. Remember, that's the only two things that exist in the market: supply and demand, and the stability of the issuing government. If you guys are in Canada and the United States, you know 1,000% there is no stability with the governments. Zero. They're all on rocky footing. They're all broke, and they're all desperate to try to just kick the can down a little bit farther down the road until the next election comes and they can preserve their jobs. Canada, United States, Europe, Bank of Japan, it's always the same, guys. Any decade that you want to go to. So let's go to the key takeaways. Fiat money gives central banks greater control over the economy because of how they can control the money being printed. I mean, guys, this is not us. This is not an opinion piece. This is what it is. One danger of fiat money is that governments can print too much of it, resulting in hyperinflation or just regular inflation that we're experiencing today. It's money printing. Remember, Milton Friedman always says that money is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon, just printing cash. Understanding fiat money, look at this. The term of fiat money is the Latin word. It's translated, it shall be, or let it be done. Thus, fiat currencies only have value because the government maintains its value. There is no utility in the fiat money itself. Fiat money is faith-based money. That is it, based on faith. And if we have no faith that the money is going to be worth money tomorrow, we're going to lose it through inflation. We're going to have more and more problems that is going to be coming down the road for us, for me, for you. Harder to pay our mortgage, harder to buy food. Food prices, we just had a report that came out today, and they said food prices will never go back to 2019 prices. Big shocker, right? 50% of all the currency in existence just appeared in the past 2 years. So, of course, it's never going to go back to those years, unfortunately, and this is going to continue to pound on people. Furthermore, if a people lose faith in the nation's currency, Investopedia continues, if we lose faith in the currency, the money will no longer hold value. Look at that. If people lose faith, the money is worthless. That should shock you. Why? Why are we not considering pieces of gold and silver as that is real value? This is just faith. Now, this is much different than a currency backed by gold, it continues, because it has intrinsic value. There's always money. It took blood, sweat, tears, machinery, dynamite, everything to pull this piece of metal out of the ground. So you guys, this is faith. So when he is referencing a big piece of social capital could be at risk, what he is talking about is the faith in the dollar, US dollar, Canadian dollar, same thing. So reining in, he continues, what's fueling inflation? Reining in inflation will mean foregoing some consumption in the near term, which is going to be hard on some segments of the population. Okay, I got two issues with that. Number one, you guys just want to say, and this is David Dodge, run nations. Number one, when you say you have to stop consuming anything, you have to stop drinking water, stop eating as much food, live in a cardboard box. Just choking the economy is not the answer. We need more. I got to make more food. I got to make more houses. Why is that never part of the conversation? This is every time you hear from Keynesian economics people that they just say we have to make everybody eat less, live less, drive less. Everything is always less. Where do we not create more food for people? People are starving. And I don't understand that. Number two, notice what he's saying in that article. The number two portion there is he says it's going to be hard on some segments of society. What segments? I'm asking you, is it 10% of people, 20% of people that are having trouble with inflation? Or is it like 95% of people cannot afford these higher rates, the prices of food, the price of everything else? I want you just to look at a circle of 10, 15, 20 people of your friends. How many of them go, I haven't even noticed a difference of the price of food? How many of them? Because everybody I talk to is in some stage of suffering from this. So how does this actually play out? If we're going to look at Toronto, where I live, we are seeing some absolutely crazy things happening right now. If you were taking a look at this, $1 million, it was in Toronto just 12 months ago, 1,089,000. If we're looking today, that the housing prices are at 1.13. So people are not just reacting to insurance interest rates. They have gone the other way and are bidding even higher. The level of insanity here is just crazy to me. At 1.13, I think that people are going to be lambs to the slaughter now. If you want to look at how what the prices are right now, I mean, the prices have gone absolutely crazy. Now, look at what's happened with interest rates. This is just a popular product in Canada for 5-year variable and fixed rates. If you take a look at the blue here, the 5-year fixed, as it goes up, it's been flatlined. But the variable, which is what most people are taking, look at that price, 6.75. And I haven't met one client. You guys know that I'm a real estate broker and I sell properties for people in Toronto. That's what we specialize in. I haven't met one client who's got a 6.75. Not one. Every single time they go, they're getting an 8 or a 9%. They're like, no, 6.75 is reserved for our elite customers. And the people that I know that are going have credit scores over 800. They have huge incomes, very, very low debts, and they're still getting an 8.75. Absolutely crazy. Never seen anything like that. Let's take a look at what the difference in prices are. Okay, so let's say very common $1 million mortgage last year. $1 million mortgage, 2%, 25 years, $4,200. Right now, this year, 1 million, 7.5% is $7,300. It is now $3,000 a month more expensive, not even taking into account the inflation in other parts of the economy. So how many of your friends do you see that does not even bat an eye at $3,000 a month? We live in Canada. They tax us over 50% of our income. So that $3,000 extra payment, you got to make $6,000 more just for that. If you need a $7,000 payment per month just for this, you have to be making around $30,000 a month just to be able to afford this mortgage. You tell me how many of your friends make $360,000 a year. You let me know. Because I don't think it's going to be very many. So it's not just real estate that is doing this. They are bucking the trend even in the stock market. We see the lows that happened in 2020. It obviously went down through 2022 through the war, but it has been on a war path just since this year started. Look at this, going from 3,800 earlier this year to 4,400, but the majority of that is in the top 8 stocks in the S&P 500, the big tech stocks. But this is just crazy what people are doing. Just absolutely nuts. Now, do we think that the rates are going to go forward? Where are they going to be? So the target rate probabilities for the U.S. Federal Reserve now is 74% that they are going to be raising the rate to 5.25 to 5.5 in July. In July, 5.5. So where are we in Canada right now? Canada is sitting at 4.75. We were very, very bad. We did not make smart decisions. We decided to not raise up that interest rate twice. Very, very spoiled kid. And we made a big, big mistake. And now we're paying for it. Now we had to raise the rates. The United States, if you take a look at the United States, it looks like Machu Picchu or something, man. Look at the height of these steps climbing up to the sun gods. Just nonstop, relentless going up. And so right now they raised it 10 times. We only raised it 8. And then we just did this 9th one. We're always behind. And that's creating the problem for us right now, because if we take a look at where our dollar has been just in the past year, it has dropped like a rock. And now all of our imports are costing us more money. So we were going to be maybe raising the rate as of like May 11th or so. So you could see that our dollar was at 73 cents at that time. Now it's spiked up to 7.75 cents. That's a big deal when we're looking at the whole country. And that's because we raised our rate like we should have. So finally, instead of just pausing again, we're making the right moves. So that dollar is going to continue to smack us upside the head, man. We had a good dollar here, sitting at 78 cents. Even if we go back a little ways, we were sitting at 83 cents not long ago. But we haven't made some really good decisions, and the prices have been dropping quite drastically. So this is going to continue, you guys. We're going to continue to face these problems for the near term. And so I want to know from you guys, what can I do to help you guys make better decisions? Because we are going to be running into these problems over and over and over again. So we are live right now on multiple places. We're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So if you guys want to ask me any questions, this is a live show so that you guys can actually participate and you can ask me some questions, and maybe, just maybe, I can help you save yourselves a lot of money in the time. So Martin is asking a question here. When is a good time to sell? That's a good question. So we're gonna dive into that in 1 second. Let me pull up something here. The Canada 5-year bond. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. I'm going to flip the screen for you. This is for Martin, and let's take a look at this for Martin. If we're going to back this up just 1 year, and I'm going to share my screen with you. If we're going to back this up just 1 year and take a look at this, okay, the 5-year bond, this is how they get the mortgage rates, and they figure out what the mortgage rates are. The reason why prices have spiked so much, let's take a look at the prices. The reason that prices have just surged this spring, look at that, like a rebounder as it goes to the moon, is because of Silicon Valley Bank and the other banks that collapsed back here. When those banks actually dropped, what happened is mortgage rates dropped with the bond yields. When that happened, and this dropped here, that's what you're seeing. These home prices just went absolutely bananas. But if you notice that chart is very, very high now. It is recovered all the way back up. So you're going to see, in response to that, you're going to see mortgage rates actually having gone up, and you're going to see this get squashed down. So if anybody was looking in the past to even sell, I think this is an amazing time to sell. And again, if you guys are anywhere in Toronto, you could always reach out to me at sellhigher.ca, where you could sell your home for more money faster and less hassle. A free consultation. We do have free 30-minute consultations for people who are looking to sell their homes if you are in Toronto. So remember, keep looking at that bond rate. It's going to tell you what you need to do. So if you guys have any questions, please keep them coming. I think it's a fantastic time to sell. Let's go back just 2 years and look at how 2022 played out as well. So everybody that was sitting back here as prices were going down, 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 and thinking, oh my God, I'm so in trouble. I'm so in trouble. And it kept going down. I don't understand why people that were sitting on the fence for all this time. And if you guys followed me over past year, you remember last spring, I was like, sell your home, sell your home. Last summer, sell it, sell it. It's going to fall more. And now as this has gone up, this is saving your butt to bounce back $150,000. My goodness. But is that predictable that it went up 150,000? Well, we couldn't predict that they would lower the rates because a bank collapsed. But 1% rate changes home prices by 10%. Let's take a look right here. It was as high as 3.6. Let's check down here. 2.7. That's 0.9%, almost 1%. So that's going to move home prices by 10% up. Now, when we go and take a look at that, that's a little bit more than 10%. So that's very, very predictable. We can watch the bond rates. I don't know why people are so fixated at looking at prices in the past, because that's like driving a car and not looking out the front window, only looking out the back window. You guys, we have to use really smart tools and look forward and see in the forward indicators what is going to happen. And when we look forward, we're going to make some really, really good decisions. Okay, on YouTube and Facebook, if you guys have any questions, please shoot them out to me and we're going to take a look. Now, this is a proxy where I'm showing you right now in Toronto. This is a proxy for everywhere else that you're looking in cities over 1 million. As we can see, since January, people are paying more and more and more for properties, back to the games of paying 105% on average of asking. Absolutely. Doesn't even make any sense whatsoever. I think it's crazy. All right, so let's jump in. I got a whole whack of more questions coming in. So you guys, I'm going to try to get to them. I saw someone ask about gold and silver. You guys know I'm a massive fan of gold and silver. I think everyone should have it. If you have a little bit of gold, if you have a little bit of silver, I have an entire course on gold and silver and how I purchase gold and silver. If you want to go to, I'll show you where my course is in case you're interested in it. Hang on one second. So if you go to Rough Team Realty, I believe it is. Let's just try to take a look here. Rough Team Realty. Sorry, you guys. I'm just trying to figure out where my thing was. Yes. So if you go to Rough Team Realty and you look under their property calculator, we also have our gold and silver course. We have how to buy your first home course. We also have our investment calculators, which are super, super popular. Everyone uses this. These are the retirement calculators. So go to sellhigher.ca/products. So you can see it up here. All right, you guys. Now let's continue on. I got so many questions coming in. I love it when you guys have good questions. It's Friday night. So let's try to help you guys out. Thailand raided lawyers' offices to review foreign ownership. Thailand. When will Canada do this? They're not going to do that. I don't think so. David, looks like we're in for a rude awakening next year for mortgage payments. Yikes. Yeah. Mateen, it's not even going to be next year. It's already happening right now, but the snowball is just getting started. You're going to start to see a lot of this news coming up in the fall. A lot of it. Remember, the majority of people are moving in their properties in Canada somewhere. They'd like to move in between May and maybe October. And so that's when all the mortgages renew. So once you have this entire year's worth of mortgages coming up for renewal and people not being able to pay, you're going to see a lot more articles of this because my clients are completely freaking out. Catherine, yeah. So Katarina, where I buy a lot of my gold and silver. I buy my gold and silver from one of the companies. I have a link in my description. I use Kitco a lot. They're in Montreal. Michelle, and hopefully you're doing good. Good to see you. When is it a good time to have $20,000 in hand? Good time to get into a REIT. Okay, so you guys, REIT, REITs. We have to talk about that. Real estate investment trusts is like a stock that you can buy, but you have to be careful what stock that you buy. What are they invested in? What kind of real estate? So medical real estate doing amazing. Small manufacturing places doing amazing. Those small places that have 2,000 square feet of storage in the back and one office in the front doing amazing. Office buildings doing terrible. Malls doing terrible. So you have to be in the right type of REIT. First of all, I don't suggest you get in REITs. I like to have control myself. They have high management fees. It's not for me. So I don't suggest REITs. But if you are going to do it, make sure that you're in the right type of a REIT because the wrong type of REIT will bankrupt you. Good question, though. No way, buddy. It's simple. It's supply and demand and greed. Yep, for sure. Man, sorry, you guys. There's just a lot of questions coming in. And I'm trying to catch up with them. If you're renting, would you recommend riding a wave, wait for a housing crash before buying? Yeah, I would not even be considering buying right now. If you guys have been following me since 2021, when I was telling you, lock in your rates, lock them in. lowest rates in 5,000 years. You need to lock in. That was my comment there. And I haven't changed since last spring saying you got to get out of your massive homes. Now, you have to take into account what types of homes we're always talking about. The larger homes are losing value, and the larger cities are going to lose a lot of value. Not all homes. So it really depends where you're located. If you're in a small farming town of 500 people and you're in an entry-level bread and butter house, don't sell your home. You got to hang on to that. So it really depends where. But the majority of people who contact me are usually in large cities. End of year will be a good time to buy. Yes, this is for Discover 7878. Yes, I would start looking somewhere in the realm of like October, November, December. That's when I would start looking as of the information that we have right now. How severe could a recession be? How much could you expect it to be? Katarina, and you're saying, yes, you live in Montreal. I'm from Montreal. Cool, man, Katarina. Yeah, I'm from Montreal. I know it very well. So how much is a recession and how much can you expect? I mean, guys, we're going to come back to a time where math actually has to make sense. This is what I say almost every show. At the end of the day, people are not getting raises at their job. The average home in Toronto, let's just do this again. The average home price in Toronto is what? It's almost 1.2 million. Average price of a property, which means you're going to have $1 million mortgage. This is very, very common. $1 million mortgage last year at 2%, they would max themselves out at $4,000. Today, their mortgage is $7,300. They cannot afford that. They don't have the extra $3,000. And the majority of people do not have that. I can tell you that. So what is $7,000? If you take $7,000 and multiply that by, you can only spend 30% on your home, 3%. That's $21,000 per month. Clear. Which means that you have to make like $35,000 or something like that per month. $35,000 times 12 months, I'm typing on the calculator now, is $420,000. So the average home price in Toronto, you got to make $420,000 to be able to afford an average home. Average. I'm not talking about big, awesome, baller rapper's house. I'm talking minimum. We live in Toronto where 1-bedroom apartments are $1 million. So you got to make $420,000. I want you to ask me how many people can afford an entry-level house and have to make $420,000. So it doesn't matter when. I'm not sure exactly when, but reality will have to hit home. So I always like you to go to Investopedia. I always reference this because most people go and check that out all the time and look up response lag, you guys. I show this very, very often because when you type in response lag and go to Investopedia, they always will tell you about how long that it takes. And they say the Federal Reserve, when they cut rates or raise them, it can take 18 months. 18 months for you to actually see a difference. And so you're going to get this coming to you. I don't know what month. I can't crystal ball it within a month, but we do know what season it's going to happen in. And, you know, I've been doing this a long time. I don't want to date myself, but I've been doing this a long time. I have never gotten so many calls like I'm getting now that they're in trouble. And ironically, a lot of the people that call me today are the same people that called me 6 months ago, the same people that called me a year ago. And it went from, oh, I'm in a lot of trouble, I'm in even more trouble, and then now I'm desperate. So unfortunately, all humans, me and you, we're all the same. We actually get paralyzed by fear. And then we decide to do nothing about it. And sometimes doing nothing is the worst thing. So in order to make smart decisions, you need knowledge. You need specific financial knowledge. And if you don't have that, I urge you to try to keep learning. If anything on this podcast, the podcast, we put this out on podcast too, or these shows, why I come on live, this is a public service because I've been screaming from the mountaintops from 2021, telling people that we were going to be in serious trouble. when they were going to raise the rates. I didn't even know that a war would start. Now we're in even more trouble. And everybody wants to throw caution to the wind. YOLO, you only live once, party on. And now it's going to put them in a big, big, bad position. And the longer they kick the can down the road, it's like just boozing one night when you're out at a bar, another beer, another beer, another beer. Well, the hangover is going to get worse and worse and worse. That's what it's like. So unfortunately, some people are going to get the smackdown. I don't want it to happen, but I fear for people that they're going to get hurt. Unfortunately, it's most likely going to happen. Why isn't everybody rising up? We just take this. Well, what do we do? So this is for Canadian Ventures. He's mentioning, why don't we just rise up? So then the question comes down to, what are we supposed to do? You can't rise up against a government. You can't change the way that the economies and central banks and companies have been operating for 500 years. It's not going to happen. What you could do is buy better real estate, open better corporations, get better life insurance policies, get better insurance on yourself, gold and silver, get some gold and silver out there. Start somewhere. One place I would look, start getting a book like this, Tom Wheelwright, Tax-Free Wealth. Number one, what you don't realize is that the governments want you to pay no taxes. They don't want you to pay any taxes. If you are paying taxes, then you're doing something wrong. The governments want you to pay less. So go start with this book and do your patriotic duty, Canada, United States, and don't pay any taxes. If you do things the right way, the way that the government is asking you to, then you don't have to pay taxes. Isn't that crazy? I did not know this when I was young. I thought I just have to work harder and work harder, work harder. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So let's I want to share my screen with you. This is the insanity where we're living right today. Oh man, this gets me fired up every time. Oh boy, I think I lost my screen over here. I'm going to have to do it another time. I don't have my shareable screen here right now. Mateen is saying, you were there, David, in 2021. I called it. Mateen, thank you for backing me up. I was screaming from the mountaintops, please fix your damn rates. I fixed everything I could. Like, I'm not just talking the talk. I'm walking it. I'm doing it. I'm not just this stupid YouTube person. The reason I can't come on more often is I'm actually working. We're selling properties for clients every single day, my team and I. And that's what we want for you, is to how do you make more money? But I want to impart on you guys the things that I was never taught when I was young. If I was young enough, I would be done already. Gonzo. I wouldn't have to work anymore. So I want you to get some insurance. Now, I want you to think about some things. Let me see how I can. How do I, you guys, get my screen going? I think, nope. I don't know how to do it, you guys. I'm under pressure right now, and I wanted to get my screen up and share it with you. But what I wanted to tell you is the taxes that we're facing here in Canada is something that is absolutely obscene. We pay 53% of tax when we're at the top. We have to pay 13% VAT tax, which now takes us to 66%. Then we have to pay 50% of our gas as taxes. Then after that, we have to pay our driver's license taxes, carbon taxes. Everything we buy is loaded with taxes. At the end of the day in Canada, we pay 70% of our income in taxes, and we get nothing for it. Our roads are crap. One of my family members just had to go and see an ENT specialist, ear, nose, and throat specialist. It's 16 months before they could see anybody. So down in the United States, my American friends tell me, well, David, you guys get free healthcare. Okay, first of all, it's not free. We pay out our butt in taxes here. But what do we get for it? If I had a real ear problem and I got to wait a year and a half, I might be dead by the time I actually see a doctor. So at the end of the day, what help is it to you if you're in the ground? So we have to do something. And what you can do is start reading the tax code in Canada and the United States. You have to figure out ways to get it down. That's what you have to do. End of story. There's no way around it, through it. We have to be smarter about what we're buying. And every single move you do, you have to figure out a way to be better. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and I feel exhausted when I tell you this, honestly. I don't know how to get through in a world where every single person in my life is lying to me. Everybody is lying to me. I'm fed up by everybody lying to me. But when you go to a grocery store, you have to think about this. The grocer is thinking about and hires psychologists. How do I get them to buy more stuff? How do I get them to try a new cracker and buy that cracker? When he goes down the aisle, how do we put adult food at their eye level, kid food at the low eye level? Psychology. How to get you to buy more? How do we manipulate them? How do we raise the prices so we get more juice out of them? That's capitalism for you. At the same time, when you're buying something, every time you buy something, you're like, is that a good deal? Is that a good deal? Is that a good deal? Wherever you are and what you're buying. So every time you buy something, you're trying to save. Every time that you do the other side, they're trying to rip you off. That is the system that we live in. Canada, Europe, Japan, doesn't matter what, United States, doesn't matter where you go. So it's exhausting, but this is what you have to do. You need to, with your phone bills, with your taxes, with your investments, with your banks, it's nonstop pressure for you to lower your bills and to raise your income. This is the game. And you're going to have to do this every day for the rest of your life. So let me tell you, this is what the majority of people do, is they just give up. They're done. They just give up. So just think of it. When a horse is very wild and they catch him from the wild and they bring him back and they try to jump on the back of the horse bucks like crazy, right? Now, what happens? You tell me, what is the word when they break it? All you guys who watch Yellowstone, what do they call that? They call it breaking the horse. Breaking. So that means breaking his spirit. With the weight on him, it's broken. Jordan Peterson says that men generally live a life of quiet desperation because that responsibility on them of bills and everything is that giant weight, and it just breaks the horse's spirit, his wild spirit, and he just succumbs to it. That is what I felt. That is what everyone else felt. You guys know, I've been honest with you, that I was on welfare. I had nothing. But if you know the right things to do, I would start with this book. If you know the right things to do, you could play the same game that the 1% do. You could use the exact same game. So I know it's exhausting. I'm not saying that it's easy, but I can tell you, I had cancer twice, 5 years in the hospital, okay? And the only reason that I lived, I watched all my other friends die. The only reason I lived is because I refused to give up. Refused. And I had fantastic parents. I just I will not give up, and I will not buckle to the program. So this is the thing. If you want to decide that you or them, one of the two of you have got to blink, this is a game of chicken, and I'm not going to blink. I'm going to keep fighting forever because I don't want to be like my father and my grandfather and have to, at 75 years of age, I cannot even afford a coffee. I don't want to do that. It's not going to be me. And so if you are the type of person that wants a better life, if you want to give a better life to yourself than your parents did, if you want to give your kids a better life, then you're at the right place. You're with the right person. You're on the right channel. And that's what I'm here for. You know, like, I don't get paid to be here. This is my Friday night. My wife has to be at home while I'm doing here. I'm not paid to be here. So I do it, and I'm sorry that I get so passionate about it, but I've faced death. I've been in the hospital for a huge portion of my life. I currently have a lot of issues, right? But I refuse to bend to that. And so I want you guys to have that same fire in your belly that you just are not going to give up. That's what I want for you. Guys, thank you very much for all your nice comments. I appreciate it. Thank you, Michelle and Canadian Adventures. I appreciate it. And Katarina, thank you. Thank you. But I get fired up when I think about this stuff, you know, because I don't want what has been presented to me. I refuse to accept it. And so I hope that you are going to refuse to accept it as well. That's what I want from you guys. Hopefully, you guys are going to refuse along with me to accept what has been dealt our way. And so we have to be grown up enough. Unfortunately, we have to be grown up enough to see what is coming into the future. And it's not going to be pretty for a while. For a while. Is this terminal? That's what most people ask me. Well, is there any hope? Well, yeah, there's going to be hope. But where is the hope going to come from? Interest rates are going to be higher for a lot longer than we're expecting. And housing, as we can see, housing is not being built. Housing is not being built in the United States. They're only at 1.5 million. They're short 10 million right now. They cannot do 10 years of work in 1 year. Not possible. Canada's at 200,000 and we need 3.5 million homes. Impossible for us to ever catch up to that. Impossible, especially with them bringing in so many people like they have now. Impossible to catch up. So what is going to happen? People are not going to afford it, and we're going to have credit tightening. Please look at the video that I did yesterday on credit tightening. And on credit tightening means they're not lending to people anymore. That's what that means. So before last year, $1 million home, 2%, $4,200 a month. Banks are not going to be comfortable with that. They're going to say, we're only comfortable lending you $3,000 a month. So you have to come up with the middle amount. It's going to wipe people out. And unfortunately, the people that took too much risk are the ones that are going to get the smackdown. I mean, like the serious smackdown. So unfortunately, I have clients of mine, okay? And we talk to the clients, and when I'm talking to these people, I feel bad for them. When you attach a name to somebody and you hear their story and their kids and everything, I feel really bad for them. But we also sit in a weird time in history, because where we are sitting right now has, in my understanding, I don't remember a time ever that this has happened. Almost everybody that has made money in real estate since 2010 has made it completely by accident, because none of the money came from anything except interest rates being very low. In a collapsing interest rate environment, home prices go right to the moon. It's just what happens. If interest rates went back to 1980s into the 15% range, instantly home prices would drop and smack down to nothing. It would happen. But how long does it take? Remember the investment lag that we looked up? 18 months. So we have to understand that this is going to come and happen. So we live in cities where we have an inordinate amount of people who are accidental millionaires, but who walk around with a sort of arrogance and aloofness that they are the kings of the world. But, you know, a lot of people that leave Toronto and go somewhere else, other people, I'm not from Toronto. They're like, man, what's with Toronto people, right? What's with Vancouver people? Because we have the largest concentration of accidental millionaires I've ever seen. And that all is because of interest rate collapse. So if we want to look at Mexico right now, they have interest rates of like 25%, something like that. 25%, absolutely bananas. That doesn't even make sense that it's 25%. If we want to look at the policy rate for the for Canada, I don't know how far I can go back. Maybe if we look at the US rates, I can go back farther. So if we just go back to what it was, let's go max. Look at the rates in the 80s, how high they were, sitting at 20%. I know there's some bumps. Okay, sure. But look at that general trend line. Down, okay? And as it goes down over time, home prices are going to become more and more valuable. Okay, so let's do this same experiment. It hit 20% in interest rates, okay? So if we take the exact same thing and change this to 20%, how do we make the payment still $4,000 per month? What would we have to do? 200,000 maybe? Well, it goes a little bit more than that. 250,000. There you go. So if interest rates went to 20% today instead of 2% last year, same payment of $4,200 a month, home prices would have to collapse by 75% if we went back to the 80s. So if we went back to 20%, that's what would happen. Home prices would have to come down because the only two solutions are that salaries have to go up 75% or property prices have to drop 75%. So you tell me which one is more likely. The world is crazy, you guys. Okay, so Freddie is mentioning right here, detached homes in the 80s was 200,000 to 300,000. Boom, there you go. There's the price, 250,000 under loan number 2. Isn't that coincidental? Is it coincidental? That's my question for you. I really want to know. Do you believe that this is coincidental or do you believe it's math and cause and effect? And this is what we got to know. So it's very, very easy if we know where to look. Guys, look at the bond rates, man. We are getting smackdowns on bond rates. Just look at them in the past 3 years. They've gone absolutely bananas. So this is why I want you guys to do better. I want you to have a better life than I did. And I want you guys to get free. Freddie, yeah. Thank you for your great comments. He says, I'm great. And you're laughing too, right? But is it coincidence? Listen, you guys, this is what I always, I like to tell you, because if we were doing this not on live, if we were doing this just like together, let's say, okay, and we were just, I was recording this and it was going to get all chopped up, but guys, we're doing this live. It's not even possible that this all just lines up like all the freaking stars and planets are lined up. It's not possible. This has to make sense, right? And I always say we have to always get back to a place where math makes sense. Period. And let's go back to this calculator. It doesn't matter what year. So let's just take a look at this. Do you see right here, $1 million, 2% last year, $4,200. Guess what you would have to make last year? You have to clear 3 times that for a bank to lend you money, which means you have to make $12,000 a month. $12,000 a month. Then you can afford 1/3 to housing. 30% of your income goes to shelter. In 1980, a $250,000 home, $250,000 home at 20%, 25 years, is still $4,200. Guess what you would have had to make there? $12,000. Back in 1980, you could do 30% of your home, of your income could go to homes, to shelter. So let's take a look at the chart. Go back. Okay, so in 1980, 30% of your take-home money could go to shelter. 1985, 30% of your take-home here was 30%, here was 30%, here's 30%, here's 30%, here's 30%. The rule doesn't actually change. The rule is always the same. 30% of your income can go to shelter. That's how banks lend you. So if that is the case, math always has to make sense, my friends. Anyway, it does take time for the lag effect to come in. Now, Freddie is bringing in the 80s. In the 80s, our population was very different. And you are extremely correct, my friend. It was very different in the 80s, but we're talking about percentages as well. But if we go back to what the builds were like in Canada, even through the 80s, let's go back a lot farther. In the 80s, do you notice that we're always building somewhere between 100,000 and 300,000 homes? It kind of averages out around 250. We're always building the same number of homes, and the population was always growing. But especially since the 90s, we just brought in 20 million people from other countries that could dilute the housing stock, which has caused a lot of the problems. I would say a majority of the problems. Where do you house 20 million people? And so Canada has this very, very weird religious, I would say, cult going on. They worship at the altar of immigration. I love immigration. We need immigration. What do we need? We need people with skills. Hopefully they're young, they're educated, hopefully they have money. But most of the people with money, with skills, as they're coming to Canada, they're like, okay, free healthcare, that's wonderful. We need our passport, and we're going to dump our cash there and then leave because they see 70% tax breathing down their neck. And when they see 70% tax, they're like, there's no way. I'm not working just to pay the government their money. And that's the problem. If you believe that every immigrant coming to Canada has $250,000 of cash in their pocket and a job lined up at $250,000 a year, then your thesis can hold water. But obviously, that is not the case. It's not even like 1% of the case. The majority of people who land in Canada have $100 in their pocket. So that then it just blows a hole in their whole thesis. And that's not the answer. Immigration is not the answer. That's like, I don't even know what to compare that to. We have to be a lot more nuanced by that. That's why every single country in the world almost has these criteria that you have to follow in order to be an applicant for immigration. So very, 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 very weird world. Anyway, Freddie, yeah, you're good. And Mateen, so true. Yeah, listen, guys. Some people have sent me messages. You don't like immigration. I'm like, I love immigration. I think it's amazing. It's just we always have to come back to somebody is paying for it. And that's why we have 70% taxes, right? Somebody's got to pay for their housing. Somebody's got to pay for their food. We need better education, better skills, and better supply. And we're running into a lot of problems. I'm going to tell you, if I was not in Canada and I was looking to move to Canada and I saw how much tax I would have to pay, I would say, I'm out of here. No way on the planet am I going there, because I could choose a lot of beautiful destinations with 0% tax. Canada is the loosest immigration I've ever seen. Yeah, it's pretty loose. Yeah. But again, remember, I'm saying I love immigrants. I don't want people to get that mixed up. Immigration is amazing, right? But at the end of the day, there has to be paid with money. And all that we know how to do in Canada is raise taxes. So we're at 70% now. What is it going to end up being? 80%? 90%? I want us to focus on creating jobs, creating supply of houses, creating good technology. Listen, it's very, very simple. Every single country on the planet all wants the same 5 things. You need jobs, housing, technology, food, and energy. 5 things. That's it. If you solve those 5 things, you have a solid country. So if we look in Canada, we have no houses, we don't have enough jobs, and I'm by enough jobs, I'm saying jobs that pay. I'm not talking about minimum wage jobs, okay? Service jobs. We don't have enough high-paying jobs. We don't have enough houses. We don't have enough oil. There is a war against energy right now. And do we have enough food? We do have enough food. We do have enough food. So thank goodness for that one, right? What's the last one? Technology. We are not the technology hub, right? So we need to fix those same 5 things that always work. Michelle, you're loving my new flamingo shirt, man. My wife just bought this for me today. Thank you very much. This is my new shirt. I was like proudly wearing it today. Mateen, I know you're an immigrant too. Very, very cool. Freddie, you're an immigrant. Thank you very much for coming to Canada. So, I'm assuming you're in Canada or the United States. The majority of our following is in Canada and the States. Did you mind me asking, Freddie and Mateen, where you're from? Very, very cool, man. I came at 1 to this great country. We need to get it back on track. Absolutely, Freddie. We always have to get it back on track. It's a constant fight, but it's very, very hard. Freddie, you're in the 416. Beautiful. What country did you come from? Yeah, and Michelle is mentioning that we have more taxes coming in on July 1st, new carbon tax. Absolutely. This is brutal for us. We're going to be in a lot of trouble. Canadian Ventures, he's really insightful and easy to listen to. Yeah. Thank you, Canadian Ventures. But I'll tell you, I have faults, and I get very passionate about things. So then I start talking a little bit faster. So I'm sorry, but here's the one thing. At least you know I'm always super, super honest. I never sugarcoat anything, and I just want straight facts. I want facts. Mateen, you're from Mombasa, Kenya. Oh my goodness. So cool. That is on my bucket list to go to Mombasa. So that is amazing. Very, very cool. Ukraine, former Soviet Union from Freddie. So fun fact, Ukraine is getting hammered right now, you guys, with this war. Absolutely bananas. But both sides of my families have roots in Ukraine. My grandfather on my dad's side, born in Ukraine. My great-grandfather on my mom's side is from Ukraine. And he came over as a little boy, and he moved to Manitoba, where the very, very large Ukrainian community over there. And so, yeah, I got a lot of Ukrainian blood in me, but not from Mombasa. Sorry, Mateen. So you're from Kiev. I think my grandfather was born in Odessa. No, actually, I'm 99% sure it's Odessa. I think I remember seeing his birth certificate. Is there any financial podcasts I listen to? No, I don't. That's a very good question. There is no way for me to, I don't know anywhere that does any thing that I like. So what I do is it takes me about 3 hours a day. I generally read about 2 hours in the morning. I read a lot of news. I look at a lot of charts from Canada and the United States. And then I generally read for another hour in the evening. So it's generally about 3 hours a day. And I'm generally looking at charts, not opinion pieces. And then I try to read books. The one book I have within arm's reach is this one. I always tell everybody, start reading Tax-Free Wealth. This book is awesome. But thank you very, very much for all the questions. I appreciate it. Inflation is coming down. Okay. So what does Elias? This is true. You missed my adventure. I don't have any real answers for you of what I do listen to. I don't listen to opinion pieces. I want to look at the charts myself. Now, all governments are going to lie. I don't care if it's Ukraine, Russia, China, America, Canada, it doesn't matter. The governments are always going to bend their information to suit their narrative, okay? And so you always have to look at how they're calculating it. How did you get that information? Freddie, you're saying you're going to order that book? Man, great. I hope that you do. Tax-Free Wealth, start there. It's very, very good. Elias is mentioning that inflation is coming down. This is what they are saying right now, Elias, and this is good. I want to know about that. So we have to understand, what does inflation mean? Now we're going to hear a lot of words from inflation, disinflation, and deflation. So what are those three? Inflation means the price is going up, right? Deflation means prices going down, but disinflation is what we have right now, means that the price is going up less fast. Please imagine this for a second. Say that I'm driving in a car in a school zone, okay, that's 30 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is in miles per hour. Eh? What is that, 20 in the States? Just say that you're going through a school zone, but you're doing 60 miles an hour, 100K, okay? Obviously doing 100 is bad. That's like inflation. It's really, really bad. But if I'm going through at 80 kilometers an hour, I'm still breaking the law. I'm still in trouble. And so that's what's happening now. Yes, we're not doing 100 kilometers an hour. We're doing 80, but we're still in a school zone. So there's still a fire. The fire has not been put out. And the prices are never going to revert back to what we're used to in 2019. That's not going to happen. I want to see an increase in home development. Absolutely, Freddie. I'm totally with you. And Michelle's mentioning a new tax coming July 1. Absolutely. And it's going to hit people with $1,500 extra dollars every single year. Now, are we saying that the world is accurate? Like, here's the thing. I'm going to piss off both sides, okay? I'm going to piss off the liberals and the conservatives. We're going to piss off the Republicans and whatever. Everybody sees one thing and they jump on you. They just think all Republicans like oil and all Democrats just like electric cars. Why can't we be normal people and say the right things all the time? Just be truthful. Electric cars are not the answer for the power grid. I have friends of mine who are trying to put in forklifts or vehicles, and they can't get the power from the cities. The cities say we don't have the power for it. The nuclear plants don't have the power for it. So obviously that's not the answer. In addition, the manufacturing process for electric cars is bananas. It releases 60 tons of CO2 for every car that they make. So the answer is not that right now. I think it's completely acidine and crazy to be putting a $13 billion plant in St. Thomas under the guise that it helps the environment, but it's going to cause a massive carbon bomb. That's crazy. It doesn't even make sense. And then I have all my comments coming in. People are emailing, you're a climate denier. Guys, how is that? That's insane. The climate is heating up. When I grew up, snow used to be above my head. I'm 6 feet tall, that high of snow overnight. And now there's hardly any. Of course, climate change is happening. So you can believe two things at once when they're both facts and they're both not politicized. So what I want everybody to do is not think of the political side of things. Forget the political side. Let's be adults ourselves and think for ourselves and do things that make sense. We need to come up with cleaner energy, hands down. Hands down. All right. So, Elias, could you tell me more about what you think that inflation is happening? I'm very, very curious about that. I've got a bunch more questions. Freddie, you're mentioning about the build. So we could see that in the United States. Let's flip my screen so you can see it. The United States and Canada, it doesn't matter what year. It doesn't matter how big the problem is. We're having massive, massive problems. And look at, they're never increasing. The United States are not increasing at a fast rate. Canada is always flat. Regardless of how many people, we brought in over 1 million people, and everyone says, guys, this is going to be the answer. But look what's happening. It's not fixing it. So then that doesn't work. That's clearly not the answer. So we have to find out what else can we do, right? Airbnb Savage, how are you, buddy? Good. Thanks very much for coming on. You said that real estate markets should go in line with an average salary. Yes, as a counter argument, in many other countries, the real estate market is so much higher than the average salary for many years. You're absolutely right. And so it's not going to line up for everyone's average salary. So let's just say, though, when we're going to look at those numbers that you're talking about, the average salary, it has to be home price with interest rate has to equal the average salary. So it's not the home price has to equal salary. It's home price plus interest rate equals your payment. And that's what you have to have reflecting. And it can't be, it'll never be in the city like Toronto or Vancouver. It's not going to be in New York, San Francisco, Seattle, Miami. It's not going to be that. We're looking at national prices, right? You may have to relocate. You can't be 22 years old just getting your job and think that you can afford to buy a place in Toronto. That's never going to happen. Never. The demand is too high. You would have to go back to the 70s and early 80s when it was considered like the slums to live in the big cities. That's not going to happen for a very, very, very long time. So overall, when I'm talking to you, it has to be the country, right? So if we look at the average salaries in Canada or the United States as a country, it's going to be very, very different than when we're looking at it just in one city, for example. That's going to change a lot. But at the end of the day, whenever you have a mortgage, you got to pay. You have to pay. And so right now, for you to have to make $420,000 to be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment, that's insane. There's not enough people. I've been dealing with people for over a decade in this business. Most people don't make over $400,000 a year. I promise you that. I promise you. So that means home prices got to come down or salaries got to go up. It's one or the other. But that's what I mean, Airbnb Savage, is that the prices, we always have to go to a place where math makes sense. And guess what? That's how the banks operate. That's how the banks make money. They're always going to make sure that when they look at a loan, you're only spending 30% on your shelter. So that rule doesn't change depending on what year, what price, what interest rate, doesn't matter. So your home can change price, your interest rate can change price, everything can change except the rule that you can only spend 1/3 of your salary on your home. That's not going to change. What would be the perfect model? At Savage, what would be the perfect model? Well, we gotta focus on supply. We have been infected with a crazy idea since 2007 and 8, where all the Keynesian economists got a hold of the governments of the world and convinced them that we could print as much money as we possibly can with no repercussions. Here's the crazy thing is we've had fiat currency for 500 years. We've had, I don't know how many, 400 different fiat currencies, and 100% of them have failed because we printed too much money. There has never been a currency that has survived. The oldest one we have is the British pound, and it has been diluted by 99%. 99% less purchasing power. Do you know why it's called the pound? Because 1 pound used to be 1 pound of silver. Now you could not even come close to that. 1 pound of silver, I don't even know what that would cost you. It cost you $1,000 or something, not one, like it was in the old days. So that's going to continue. Do you think Bitcoin will work or be popular soon? No. The time for Bitcoin, I mean, it's going to happen in some countries, but any country that taxes people based on their income, it's going to die. It's only going to do well in countries that have no taxes and tax on usage. But you guys know that I'm a big Bitcoin proponent, right? Always buy Bitcoin, have Bitcoin, own your keys and wallets, and always have it somewhere. You need some in your life. Kelsey, hey, you finally caught my live. How are you? Very good. Kelsey, thank you very much. I saw your message yesterday. I didn't have time to get back to you, so I'm glad that you're here. Freddie, you're saying immigrant coming now are running for the hills when they're seeing pricing and rent, right, Freddie? So I've been seeing it for a long time because I've been in the business. A lot of immigrants come to Canada, they get their passport, and then they leave. The goal is just to get the passport for freedom of travel. They have healthcare when they're older. But it's not to stay here and open a business here. Who wants to pay some of the highest taxes on the planet and get nothing back for it? It just doesn't even make sense. Kelsey, you're saying I'm 2 years into my mortgage, $500,000 in Vancouver area. It's a variable. Our payments have increased from $2,000 to $4,000 a month. Oh my God, that's really painful. Should you lock in or keep riding the wave? Well, I'm going to tell you. I have an answer for you actually, and this might help you. Just yesterday, please go back, Kelsey, and look at the video that I did yesterday. So the Federal Reserve was mentioning where they're going to be. Which one? Here we go. So the bond rates are already locking in a 74% chance that rates are going to be increasing to 5.5%. So look at that. Just yesterday in the meeting, they had said that by the end of the year, it's going to hit 5.6 and they're going to be raising in July. 74% chance of that happening. So for me personally, you know that I'm not a mortgage broker, but I am the best realtor that there is when it comes to selling your properties. And if you guys want to ever reach out to me to help you sell your property, my team and I would be happy to help you. You can go to sellhigher.ca, sellhigher.ca. You can go there and we can help you out. But what I would do probably is lock in for 1 year right now. If I could, I would lock in a fixed rate for 1 year. Currently, the fixed rates are stupid low. Way lower than the variable rates. Fixed rates currently are sitting somewhere around 5.94 and variable sitting at 6.75. This is for the 5 year, right? 1 year is going to be different, but the fixed rates are lower. So personally, I would lock in for a year, maybe. I wouldn't be doing like a 3 year or something like that. I wouldn't do that. I think there's going to be a lot of shocks in the system way before that. And Freddie agrees with me too. He says, lock it in to get away from that. Airbnb Savage, did I answer your question, by the way? I hopefully I gave you some value anyway. And all of you who are online tonight, it's a Friday night. Hopefully I gave you some help and hopefully you are going to follow me on YouTube. Please do so. I really, really appreciate it if you do. Kelsey, did I give you a good enough answer? Are you really cool with that? Kelsey, glad that you're here. We went into a lot of information today and yesterday. I would suggest that you try to go and look at the video yesterday and today and watch them on double speed if you can, and speed them up just so that you can get all the information that you can. Information is going to be the thing that is going to help you in this system. Nice cleanup. Oh, good. Glad. Thank you very much, Freddie. I hopefully that I'm helpful to you guys and that I'm providing you some value. Hopefully I earned your subscription on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Hopefully you'll do that. Please continue to follow me and I'll continue to try and help you. Is the career in real estate right now tough? It is brutal. So Canadian Adventures, remember, at any time in North America over the past 50 years, you have a 92, I think it was, % attrition. So within 3 years, 92% of agents quit. Every single year, it's the same thing. Tens of thousands of people in every single city believe that real estate is the way to riches, that this is the way to go, that it's just easy money. It's brutal. It's brutal. This year, we're probably down 50%, but I am seeing thousands and thousands of agents quitting just in my city. So you're going to see this over and over again. And so the thing is like someone like me, I've been around a long time. So we know a lot of people. We're very, very honest, and we do amazing work. My team is the best. So, that's why we're going to be around for a long time. I'm going to be here in another 10 years. Canada, Calgary market is hot. Why? Well, number one, it's hot because of the laws that we don't have to put a lot in. Insurance brokers are not. What does that mean, Michelle? Like they're not very honest. I know that. Mateen, you're saying always a pleasure. Keep the information coming. Thank you, Mateen. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Freddie. Michelle, you said, yes, you are. And when I'm ready, you'll list with me. Well, thank you, Michelle. It means a lot. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's one thing that I hate. I hate getting sugar-coated too. And that's why I am always very, very honest. Like this is the problem. If you have one or two clients, you could try to lie and deceive them. And like, what did I say to that person? But here is an easy thing. If you are always 100% honest, we don't just have 10 clients. We don't have hundreds of clients. We have thousands. So once we have that many clients, can you imagine trying to keep that many lies straight in your head? That's why I know a lot of people who get caught in their lies all the time. So, I learned this when I was a kid and I was cutting lawns everywhere and raking leaves and shoveling snow. Just my dad said, be 100% honest with everybody and you'll be better off in the long run. So hopefully that you're those type of people as well. The last thing that I'm going to do before I go is I'm just going to address this one question. Insurance brokers are still in business doing well. Yeah, insurance brokers generally do very good. So insurance and mortgage brokers tend to do very well. But real estate agents, they're going to completely fall on their face. So people are asking, how is Calgary doing and why? That's a pretty good question. And let's pull it up. So it doesn't do poorly in all places in the country, right? They're all going to behave very, very, very differently. So let's try just to take a look at a couple different cities. So if you want to look at, let's look at Greater Vancouver out west, and let's look up Calgary at the same time. They don't perform the same. So if you look at the two charts, well, I mean, that should tell you a lot about it. In Vancouver, for example, you had this massive price drop in 2018 from $1 million down to 888. Oh, man. My Asian friends are going to love that number. 8 is lucky in their culture, man. They would love that. But when that happens and the prices drop, this is a bankruptcy event for a lot of people. This as well, when we're going to take a look at, oh, hang on one second. I'm sorry. It didn't come up and share with you. There you go, my friends on YouTube. So in Calgary, let's jump back up. Whoops. Where were we? I lost what page it was on. Too many things that I'm showing you today, you guys. I must have, did I close it by mistake? We're going to have to do that again, then I apologize. So if we're going to take a look at them, they don't behave the same. And a lot of it comes down to the laws. The laws say that under $500,000, you only have to put 5% down. But if you're over $1 million, you have to put 20% down. It's 4 times the cost. And so that's going to make an effect. And the effect is right here. This is a bankruptcy event here in 2018. This is bankruptcies events when prices go from 1.2 million and drop all the way down to 1.1. This will bankrupt a lot of people. So Calgary is having this general trend upward, but you don't see these massive crashes like you did before. Plus, Calgary had very, very flat pricing from 2007 all the way to 2020. Prices did not increase in Calgary. So when inflation hits, this is a different type of inflation. This is demand driven inflation, and this is structural inflation. So it has kept up. It's actually slightly less. 400,000 should equal 600,000 today. So in Calgary, it's still sitting at around 60,000 below inflation, structural inflation. So Calgary is still a good buy today. Hopefully, you guys followed that. Let me know if you didn't get that. Have a great night, brother. Thanks very much for everything, Canadian Ventures. I hope that you had a good Friday night with me. Thank you very much for spending it with me. I really appreciate you guys. And hopefully you'll think of us when you are thinking of selling your properties. We also have a lot of courses that are coming up. And please go look at that gold and silver course. It may be able to help you a lot. Freddie says, I always try to help my clients the best of my ability. This is the best way, and probably to me, the only way. Yeah, honesty and hard work, right? Freddie, you said you love those 8s in Markham, right? Yeah, those 8s, man. People would give me like their first child if I got them a home or a condo with like 3 8s in the number. It's the luckiest thing on earth. So, any of you guys, I wish you the very, very best. I hope that you keep on crushing it. Please follow us. Please hit that notification bell. And I hope that you have a fantastic evening. Thank you, guys.